Okay, guys, just like I talked about the last podcast, we had 2 parts. This is part 2. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, go back, listen to it. It's going to be labeled part 1 of 2, and this will be part 2 of 2, of course. And this is going to be a great episode. A lot of good information in this episode and the last episode. Let's get into it. I started having real serious doubt on if I should even have the surgery. It's only human that I sometimes fail. As a matter of fact, doing that is going to cause you to have depression, anxiety, doubts, regret, all these style things after surgery because you didn't take this part serious. I ain't failing because I have the tools, I have the drive, and I have the want to succeed. Once I woke up from the surgery, that's where the real work started. Because I know there's people out there that's had the surgery and has failed. Get up. Start the process over. Get back to where you were happy with yourself. The only person that can cause me to gain 200 pounds back is me. This is the Gastric Life Podcast. I'm your host, James Pugh. Pew, 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 pew. All right. So, number 6 on the list. Ooh, this is a deep one. Therapy. Now, this was the most important thing to me. Therapy was something that I never thought I would want to do. Therapy was something that I never thought I needed. I never thought a lot of things about therapy until I did it and realized that I needed it. Heck, I probably still need it today for certain things. But therapy before surgery, a couple things. First thing is, more than likely, your insurance is going to force you to do it anyways. This is just part of the process. One of the steps in here was for me to do at least 1 session and to take a test and all that. Friend, take this serious. Don't just try to get through the test. Don't just get through that session. Don't just say, all I got to do is say what they want to hear so I can have the surgery. Because I promise you, doing that is not going to help you succeed later. Doing that is not going to help you get the results you're looking for later. As a matter of fact, doing that is going to cause you to have depression, anxiety, doubts, regret, all these style things after surgery because you didn't take this part serious. Why do I know that? Because I would have had these things because I took this part serious, because I've heard stories of people that have had that and have had that exact experience. Friend, let me just beg you, beseech thee, which means beg in the Bible. Take this serious. Have those conversations. Be open with your therapist, right? Be open with them to the fact that you struggle with your struggles. Be open with the fact that you don't understand something. Like if your therapist says something and you don't understand, just be open about it. I don't understand. I don't get it. Why? Why can't I have that quadruple double cheeseburger? No, but seriously, guys, be open to not to sound weird, but your emotions. Fun fact. I told my therapist I was not an emotional eater. I don't eat when I'm mad. I don't eat when I'm angry. I don't eat when I'm sad. But I come to find out I eat when I'm bored. And boredism, we'll get through that word. It's an emotion. It's absolutely an emotion. So going and figuring that out, I figured out I was an emotional eater. So yeah, there were so many things that stem back to my childhood that I figured out. So many practical tips that I learned from her to put into place in my current, like a therapist isn't there to tell, like, and this is the issue with bariatric patients in therapy. They have this complex a thing in their mind, because what can happen is if you don't answer the questions right, or your therapist doesn't think you're ready for surgery, then you'll be denied for surgery. Yes, this is a very true statement. What's also true is they know better than you. Why? Going back to number one, they've put in the research. They know who is a prime candidate to succeed and who is a prime candidate to fail. And I can tell you right now, if you're going through the therapy, trying to just get through it, you're going to be a prime candidate to fail. And I'm not telling you you're going to fail, but I'm telling you it's going to be a lot harder to succeed if you go into it like that. Again, this was the most important thing to me. This is the most important thing to me. You can get so much out of this if, you just put into it. Put into it. Well, I can say it now. Well, my insurance doesn't cover it. Okay. I guarantee there is something out there that's worth. Okay, so let me explain it like this. I was trying to figure out how to explain it. If you can look at yourself 3 years down the road and say you went to therapy once every other week or let's say once a week. Let's go once a week for 2 months. And therapy's $100. So it's $800. And you could see yourself 3 years down the road. And you saw yourself where you wanted to be. You saw yourself what your weight was. You saw yourself where your loose skin was and pretty much you saw the perfect specimen of what you wanted to be. All the success that you wanted came from doing this part and putting in the effort and being serious about it, and even having to put some money towards it to make it happen. Would you do it? Would you spend the $800? Would you spend the $100 a week for however many weeks it took? Or would you say, no, I'm good? You see what I'm saying? There's certain things worth investing in, and therapy is the most important one. So we're going to have more podcasts on therapy, as you can tell here, because I could spend all day talking about this. But therapy, guys, is super important. If you have questions about it, if you need answers about it, ask me. All right? I can tell you some things. We're going to talk about things that I learned from my therapist at the time and how, it helped. Really, how it helped. Anyways, let's move on to number 7. So number 7 was learning. This is good. Learning to overcome obstacles even after I fell. So what do I mean by that? So story time with Pew. This is a long podcast. I didn't realize it's going to be this long, which is good. It's good. We need longer podcasts in the world, don't we? So learning. So I had so I was putting forth all this work beforehand, right? And we were getting close to surgery. We're 2 months out from surgery, literally 2 months out from surgery. And I started having some stomach issues. Now, I've never had this before. Well, okay. I got to try to make sure I'm not weird and gross about it. But I started having frequent bowel movements. That's what we'll call them. Loose stools is another way we'll call it. And I started having this every day, all day. And nothing was staying in my body. Nothing. I was sick. There was something wrong with me. This went on for a month. Guys, I'm not even exaggerating. This went on for a month where I was running to the bathroom. I couldn't work out even because anytime I went to lift weights or something, my bowel would move. I'd have to run to the bathroom. This was bad. I was starting to get dehydrated. I couldn't keep nothing down hardly because, when I say down, I kept it down. But it just was bad. Driving a truck at night like pulling over at a truck stop and running in as quickly as possible, or wobbling in as quickly as possible, and trying to clean disgusting bathrooms at these places. Oh, literally had bleach with me when I went to these places. But yeah, it was bad. I went, and what happened is I got to a point where I put this thought in my head. Sometimes the enemy comes out of nowhere and attacks you and throws a haymaker at you, and you got to be ready to catch him. If not, he's going to land it. And it was, well, I'm not going to keep anything. Nothing's going to stay being processed hardly in my body like it's supposed to. And, let's be real, I'm crapping it out as fast as I'm eating, and I might as well eat whatever I want. This is just 2 months before surgery. All this work I just put in, all this research I just did, talking to my family, starting to eat slower, not drinking, working out, all these different things that I did started just to dissipate because I was having this issue. And I went to the doctor because of it. I had to. I was at the point, it was like, hey, I don't know what's going on. Come to find out I had Crohn's. Like, I Crohn's disease. Like, I'm 30 years old, like 31 years old. Like, what do you mean I have Crohn's disease? 32. How old am I, for crying out loud? But 30, what is Crohn's? I didn't even know what Crohn's was. I was like, what is that? Like, I take a vitamin or something? Take some Pepto-Bismol. Like, what am I doing here? Like, what is even going on here? You know what I mean? Like, just give him over-the-counter medicine so I get. No, it's a little worse than that. It's a pretty big deal. And come to find out, my surgery had to be pushed out. Even like this is what happens. This is what happened to me. Like my surgery got pushed because they couldn't do surgery on it. They were like, hey, we can't do surgery on you based on what you got going on. Because what needed to happen was I had to take steroids. I'm getting a little deep here, but I had to take steroids to bring my intestines back down. They were inflamed back down to where they need to be. That's all I had to do. And then they wanted me to get on this medicine, some shots and this and that, and pretty much do it the rest of my life. And I wasn't looking forward to that at all. So what I did was my surgeon and the doctor for the Crohn's disease, they were in contact with each other, literally one floor above each other in the same hospital. So that worked out pretty good for me. But I said, hey, look, I want to wait a week. I know that sounds weird. I know that's awkward, but I want to wait a week. Give me a week, see how I feel, and we'll go from there. Let me explain this guys to you real quick. And I know I'm going to be here for a few minutes, but we're getting close. I promise you. We're about to land the plane, as they would say. When you have a flare up like I did in Crohn's disease, the research shows that you have to have a steroid to bring the bowels back down, the intestines back down, the lower intestines back down to where it needs. Because what happens is if you cut yourself, right? What happens is you white blood cells rush to that area, and that's why this turns red and puffy, because they're trying to work on healing it. And once it heals, and it's good, your skin turns back to the right color. Well, when this takes place inside the body, there's nothing to tell the white blood cells that your body's good. So it just inflames and it stays inflamed and it gets worse and worse and worse until there's something there to tell them, which is a steroid, that it's good. So the doctors were just like, you can wait, but nothing's going to come of it. And this is what they told me. I was just like, okay, I don't know what to tell you. I feel like I should wait. And this is where God comes into the picture at. We're going to be talking about God sometimes on this podcast because he's a big part of my life. If you don't believe in God, that's cool. I love you. I'm glad you're here. And, don't think I'm preaching or I'm not going to preach to you. But, he's top of my list. So he's going to come up sometimes. But I literally prayed to God and asked him, hey, what's going on? I like to have these conversations with God sometimes where I just kind of, hey, what's going on, God? While having respect at the same time. Oh, you shouldn't do that. Oh, you ever read the book of Psalms? David did it a lot. He literally did it a lot. He hey, God, what's going on? And then he goes, oh, not my will, but your will. Kind of like Jesus did in the garden, you know what I mean? Let this cup be passed from me, but not thy will, your will be done. Anyways, moving on. I was just like, hey, man, like, is this something that you want me to do? Or is this something else going on here? Do I need to be thinking of something else? And I said, look, God, this is what we're going to do. If you want me to have surgery when I'm supposed to have surgery where we pushed it out 2 weeks, then I'll have surgery then. If not, I'm cool. I'm literally going to leave it in your hands. That's what I did. And you kind of probably know where I'm going with this. I just all of a sudden started getting better. Like, I'm not even like exaggerating. I just stopped going to the bathroom. And I have gone to the bathroom 3 times, 4, 5, 6 times a day, every single day up until this point. And I literally had a doctor appointment a week later. I went back in and I told them, I'm good. They're like, what do you mean? Look, I'm good. I don't have diarrhea anymore. Let's be real. They're like, how? What'd you take? None. What'd you do? Nothing. I mean, prayed, of course, but nothing other than that. Just put it in God's hands. And they can understand it. And they said, okay. And they talked to the surgeon and stuff. And they decided to go ahead with the surgery. And they were just like, hey, look, we want you to come back afterwards. You need to start, you got to, several weeks afterwards, you're going to need to start these steroids. You still need to do the steroids, even though you're not having these issues right now. Blah, 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 blah. Like, I went through the ringer here. I mean, I had to do a colonoscopy and everything else to find out I had Crohn's disease. And friends, let me tell you right here, right now, I haven't had an issue with it since. I'm not telling you that it's not lingering in there somewhere, but what I am telling you that I know for me for a fact is that I do not have an issue with Crohn's disease right now. I was just contacted the other day from the doctor's office of them, like, hey, you need to come in and have these. I'm good. Like, I get what you're saying, but I'm good. Like, I'm not going to start a lifelong treatment if my body's good. Like, my other physician, the other physician, the one that literally created this body is telling me I'm good. So I'm gonna ride the wave until he says otherwise. Why did I go on that whole rampant page? I have no idea. This is a long podcast, but all that to say this. I slipped up during that time. I started eating unhealthy. I started just eating whatever, whenever, and however I wanted. And I started having doubt. I started having real serious doubt on if I should even have the surgery. Now, this is a little bit before everything, of course, before the breakthrough and everything happened. And I even met with my therapist. I had an emergency session with her. I literally, hey, I need to talk to my therapist. I'm having second doubts. And that's what she was there for. I took advantage of that, and it helped me out so much. Her exact words to me was, for the how do I put this? For the I want to say fear, but that's not it. For the for the mere fact, there you go. I got it. I had to work my way up to it. For the mere fact that you're having these thoughts tells me that you're ready because you're worried about it. A person that wouldn't be ready wouldn't be worried about it. A person that wouldn't be ready wouldn't be scheduling a emergency session with me because they feel like they're going to screw it up or something like that. And when she told me that, it gave me hope. Because I was like, you know what? I never really thought about it like that. But yeah, you're right. Like, I guess it's only human that I sometimes fail. And this is where I learned that I am human and that I'm imperfect, made by a perfect God, and that I'm going to fail. And it's okay to fail. when you fail, it can be a learning experience. When you fail, it can be a transformational experience even. Because what happens is if you do it and look at it the right way, it shows you what you not to do and how to not do something in the future. Right? So by me going, stepping back and going, why did I fail? Why did I start eating bad? Why did I start eating unhealthy? And saying, you know what? It was because of my circumstances that was going on in my life. So I allowed something circumstance-wise to dictate how I was eating and how I was acting and stuff. And the simple fact was, I just don't allow it. Just catch that before it happens. I'm getting depressed. I know when I get depressed, I want to eat more. Let me combat that. How can I combat that? Don't have food in the house? Sure, no problem. Drink more water? Sure. Maybe just exercising when I feel depressed. Okay, that'll help. Figuring out things to combat your circumstance, your obstacle with in the future because you've failed at it before. It's great. It's a learning experience. Embrace that failure and say, yeah, I failed this time, but guess what? Next time, I ain't failing because I have the tools, I have the drive, and I have the want to succeed. Once you put these practices in place, once you master these or try to master these, again, you're going to try. You're not going to master every single one. I don't know if we ever will. Because there's going to be days you get up and don't want to exercise and you're not going to. Unless you're, what's his name, David Hawks? Stay hard. He's a motivational speaker, ain't he? But you're going to fail. And it's okay as long as you get up the next day, learn from your failures, and keep pushing forward. This is all a spiritual warfare or a mental warfare. And having the right tools to succeed is everything. And these are some of the tools to do it with. Once you start getting these down, once you get to the point where you're okay, and once you understand these things and you do the things you need to do, putting in the research, talking to your family, eating healthier and all this good stuff, working out, therapy, and learning from your mistakes, you're ready for step 8, which is game day, which is surgery day, D-Day. Because this is where your life truly starts. Like all that work we put in, all that work I did was to lead me to this point here, to being ready for surgery. Because once I woke up from the surgery, that's where the real work started. Yeah. But I had all the tools at my fingertips because I have already practiced. I've already done everything I needed to do to be prepared. So guess what? Other than the pain right after surgery and wanting to eat something for some reason, it was a little easier. Wasn't as, depressed or as regretful as I thought it would be. Did have a moment there, and that will be a different podcast for a different day. But I had to start the transformation in my mind to get to this point here. I had to learn a lot about myself to get to D-Day. And I had to learn I was human. And failing is part of learning. It's not a bad thing. It's only bad if you let it cause you to quit and bring us. And I had to learn I'm human, and failing is part of learning. It's not bad if you fail. It's bad if it causes you to quit. Now, I talk to the person out there right now that's had the surgery. Let me encourage you for a second, friend, because I know there's people out there that's had the surgery and has failed. And maybe they've given up even. Maybe they've regained some weight. Maybe they've regained all their weight. The only person that can cause you to fail is you. That's tough. but it's true. But there is hope, because what you can do is look back at your failures and psychoanalyze, did I say that right? Your failures and why you failed. Why would you do that? So you can put a game plan together on how not to fail like that again. Get up. Start the process over. Get back to where you were happy with yourself. If you are, this isn't you, and you're happy with yourself, I'm super glad for you. I'm super happy for you. I want you to be happy with yourself. This is for me. Also, I'm going to look back at this and listen to this one day. And if I'm having struggles and stuff, this is going to encourage me to get back into the fight. Because at the end of the day, the only person that can cause me to fail is me. The only person that can cause me to relapse is me. The only person that can cause me to gain 200 pounds back is me. It isn't my circumstance. It isn't my emotions. And it isn't, fill in the blank. It's me. And the decision that I make every single day when I wake up on what I'm going to eat, if I'm going to exercise, and how how my mental state is. If you're in a place where you don't feel like you can do it, then I would suggest you highly talk to a therapist. Also, reach out to me on here. I would love to just encourage you. I would love to just be able to say, hey, look, you got this, because you do. And the first step is reaching out, right? Like, you reaching out on here and looking for that help, looking for that encouragement is a great place to start. Even if that's the only thing you do right now, reach out for encouragement. Allow this community that I'm building here, that we're building here, to help you get to where you need to be. All right. And for the rest of you guys out there, where do you need the most help in these areas we talked about today? Let me know in the comments below if you're watching over on YouTube. If you're listening to us over on one of the major podcast platforms, let me know down in the comments, let me know by leaving a review over there, and I will definitely start reading those out on the podcast when I start seeing them come in. So also, you can do that on YouTube. If you want to leave me a review on the YouTube channel in a comment, I would definitely read it out loud. That'd be cool. I'm just saying. But check out the first podcast I did over here to my left if you're on YouTube. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace and love.